Okay, today we're reading chapter 4 of the Chronicles of Narnia, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. And there's a weird hair out of place. We're just going to put that down. Okay. The last chapter ended with Edmund running into the Queen of Narnia, or the witch that we supposedly don't know. Or do we? Chapter 4 is titled Turkish Delight. "But what are you?" said the Queen again. "Are you a great overgrown dwarf that has cut his beard off?" "No, your Majesty," said Edmund. I've never had a beard. I'm a boy." "A boy," she said. "Do you mean you are a son of Adam?" Edmund stood still, saying nothing. He was too confused by this time to understand what the question meant. "I see you are an idiot, whatever else you may be," said the Queen. "Answer me once and for all, or I shall lose my patience. Are you human?" "Yes, your Majesty," said Edmund. "And how, pray, did you come to enter my dominion?" "Please, your Majesty, I came through the wardrobe." "A wardrobe? What do you mean?" "I opened a door, and I found myself here, your Majesty," said Edmund. "Ha!" said the Queen, speaking more to herself than him. "A door. A door from the world of men. I have heard of such things. This may wreak all, but he is only one, and he is easily dealt with." As she spoke these words, she rose from her seat and looked at Edmund full in the face. Her eyes were flaming. At the same moment, she raised her wand. Edmund felt for sure she was going to do something dreadful, but he seemed unable to move. Then, just as he gave himself up for lost, she appeared to change her mind. "My poor child," she said is there a hair in my face? I feel like it's on my computer. I felt like there was this like long hair. Sorry, back to this. I have to look good in my YouTube videos, guys. For the 3 of you that watch these. Anyways. "My poor child," she said in a quite different voice. "How cold you look. Come and sit with me here on the sledge, and I will put my mantle around you, and we will talk." Edmund did not like this arrangement at all, but he dared not disobey. He stepped onto the sledge and sat at her feet, and she put a fold of her fur mantle around him and tucked him in. "Perhaps something hot to drink," said the Queen. "Should you like that?" "Yes, please, your Majesty," said Edmund, whose teeth were chattering. The Queen took from somewhere among her wrappings a very small bottle, which looked as if it was made of copper. Then, holding out her arm, she let one drop fall from it onto the snow beside the sledge. Edmund saw the drop for a second in mid-air, shining like a diamond. But the moment it touched the snow, there was a hissing sound, and there stood a jeweled cup full of something that steamed. The dwarf immediately took this and handed it to Edmund with a bow and a smile. Not a very nice smile. Edmund felt much better as he began to sip the hot drink. It was something he had never tasted before, but very sweet and foamy and creamy, and warmed him right down to his toes. "It is dull, son of Adam, to drink without eating," said the Queen presently. "What would you like to eat?" "Turkish Delight, please, your Majesty," said Edmund. The Queen let another drop fall from her bottle onto the snow, and instantly there it appeared, a round box, tied with a green silk ribbon, which was opened, turned out to contain several pounds of the best Turkish Delight. Here's a picture of the dwarf with his beard holding the hot drink. Each piece was sweet and light to the very center, and Edmund had never tasted anything more delicious. He was quite warm now and very comfortable. While he was eating, the Queen kept asking him questions. At first, Edmund tried to remember that it is rude to speak with one's mouth full, but soon he forgot about this and thought only of trying to shovel down as much Turkish Delight as he could, and the more he ate, the more he wanted to eat. He had never asked himself why the Queen should be so inquisitive. She got him to tell her that he had one brother and 2 sisters, and that one of the sisters was already been in Narnia and met a fawn there, and that no one except himself and his brother and his sisters knew anything about Narnia. She seemed especially interested in the fact that there were 4 of them and kept coming back to it. "You sure there are only 4 of you?" she asked. "2 sons of Adam and 2 daughters of Eve, neither more nor less." And Edmund, with his mouth full of Turkish Delight, kept on saying, "Yes, I told you that before," and forgetting to call her your Majesty, but she didn't seem to mind now. At last the Turkish Delight was almost all finished, and Edmund was looking very hard at the empty box, wishing she would ask him whether he would like some more. Probably the Queen knew quite well that he was thinking that, for she knew, although Edmund did not, that this was an enchanted Turkish delight, and anyone who tasted it would want more and more of it, and would even, if they were allowed to, go on eating it till they killed themselves. But she did not offer him any more. Instead, she said to him, "Son of Adam, I should so much like to meet your brother and 2 sisters. Will you bring them to see me?" "I'll try," said Edmund, still looking at the empty box. "Because if you did come again, bringing them with you, of course, I'd be able to give you some more Turkish delight. I can't do it now. The magic will only work once. In my own house, it will be another matter." "Why can't we go to your house now?" said Edmund. When he had first got to the sledge, he had been afraid that she might drive away with him to some unknown place that he would not be able to get back from, but he had forgotten his fear now. "It is a lovely place, my house," said the queen. "I'm sure you would like it. There are whole rooms full of Turkish delight, and what's more, I have no children of my own. I want a nice boy whom I could bring up as prince, and who would be king of Narnia when I am gone. While he was prince, he would wear a gold crown and eat Turkish delight all day, and you are much the cleverest and handsomest young man I have ever met. I think I would very much like to make you the prince. Some day, would you bring the others to visit me?" "Why not now?" said Edmund. His face had become very red, and his mouth and fingers were sticky. He did not look clever or handsome, whatever the queen might say. "Oh, but if I took you there now," she said, "I shouldn't see your brother and sisters, and I very much want to know your charming relations. You are to be the prince and later on the king, that is understood, but you must have courtiers and nobles. I will make your brother duke and your sisters duchesses." "There's nothing special about them," said Edmund, "and anyway, I could always bring them some other time." "Ah, but once you are in my house," said the queen, "you might forget all about them. You would be enjoying yourself so much that you wouldn't want to bother going to fetch them. No, you must go and fetch them from your own country now, and come to me another day with them. You understand? It is no good coming without them." "But I don't even know the way back to my own country," pleaded Edmund. "That's easy," answered the queen. "Do you see that lamp?" She pointed with her wand, and Edmund turned and saw the lamppost, under which Lucy had met the fawn. "Straight on beyond that is the world of men. Now look the other way," she pointed to the opposite direction, "and tell me if you can see the 2 little hills rising above the trees." "I think I can," said Edmund, squinting. "Well, my house is just between those 2 hills, so next time you come you only have to find the lamppost, look for those 2 hills, and walk through the wood till you reach my house. But remember, you must bring the others with you. I might be very angry if you came alone." "I'll do my best," said Edmund. "And by the way," said the queen, "you needn't tell them about me. It would be fun to keep it a secret between us 2, wouldn't it? Make it a surprise for them. Just bring them along, go to the 2 hills. A clever boy like you will easily make some excuse for doing that. And when you come to my house, you could just say, 'Let's go see who lives here,' or something like that. I'm sure that will be best. If your sister has met one of the fawns, she may have heard strange stories about me. Nasty stories that might make her afraid to come to me. Fawns will say anything, you know. And now, please," said Edmund, "please, can't I just have one more piece of Turkish delight on my way home?" No, said the queen with a laugh. "You must wait till next time." While she spoke, she signaled to the dwarf to drive on, but as the sledge swept away out of sight, the queen waved to Edmund, calling out, Next time, don't forget, come soon." Edmund was still staring after the sledge when he heard someone calling his own name, and turned around, and he saw Lucy coming toward him from another part of the wood. "Oh, Edmund," she cried, "you've got in too! Isn't it wonderful? And now—" "All right," said Edmund. "I see you were right, and it is a magic wardrobe after all. All I say is I'm sorry if you like. But where on earth have you been this whole time? I've been looking for you everywhere." "If I had known you'd gotten in, I would have waited for you," said Lucy, who was too happy and excited to notice how snappy Edmund spoke or how flushed and strange his face was. "I've been having lunch with dear Mr. Tumnus, the fawn. He's very well, and the White Witch has done nothing to him for letting me go, so he thinks she can't have found out, or perhaps everything is going to be all right after all." "The White Witch?" said Edmund. "Who's she?" "She's perfectly a terrible person," said Lucy. "She calls herself the Queen of Narnia, though she has no right to be queen at all. And all the fawns and the dryrads and the naiads and the dwarves and the animals, at least all the good ones, simply hate her. And she can turn people into stone and do all kinds of horrible things. And she has made magic so that it is always winter here in Narnia. Always winter, but it never gets to Christmas. And she drives around on a sledge drawn by reindeer with her wand in her hand and a crown on her head." Edmund was already feeling uncomfortable and had from already eaten too many sweets, and when he heard that the lady he had made friends with was dangerous, he felt even more uncomfortable. But he still wanted to taste more Turkish delight again, more than anything else. "Who told you all this stuff about the White Witch?" he asked. "Mr. Tumnus, the fawn," said Lucy. "You can't always believe what fawns say," said Edmund, trying to sound as if he knew far more than Lucy. "Who said so?" "Everyone knows it," said Edmund. "Ask anybody like that. It's a pretty poor sport standing here in the snow. Let's go home." "Yes, let's," said Lucy. "Oh, Edmund, I am glad you got in too. The others will have to believe in Narnia now that both of us have been there. What fun it will be." But Edmund secretly thought that he would not be as good fun for him as it would for her. And he would have to admit to Lucy that she had been right before all the others, and he felt for sure the others would be on the side of the fawns and the animals, but he was already more than half of the side on the witch. He didn't know what to say or how he would keep his secret once they were talking about Narnia. But by the time they had walked a good way, and suddenly they felt the coats around them instead of branches, and the next moment they were standing outside the wardrobe in an empty room. "I say," said Lucy, "you do look awful, Edmund. Do you feel well?" "I'm all right," said Edmund, but this was not the truth. He was feeling very sick. "Come on, then," said Lucy. "Let's find the others. What a lot we shall have to tell them. What wonderful adventures we have now that we all are in it together." And that is the end of chapter 4. Chapter 5 is titled Back on This Side of the Door. Tune in tomorrow for chapter 5.